welcome back to the Drum Rundown. We are back again at, you guessed it, Marathon Music Works in Nashville, Tennessee. And today I am with Connor Denis of Beartooth. What's going on, dude?
How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here.
Well, we are here all the time. It seems like we are actually just sleeping in a closet. That's my next door neighbor. We're sleeping in a janitor's closet, and we just come out every couple of days and film one of these. So nice to catch you on the road, man.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure to hang out with you before and talk about this awesome Gretsch kit. Let's get into it, man. What do we got?
Yeah, so I've got a Gretsch USA Custom kit out here. The kick drum is a 24 by 16. Rack tom is a 13 by 9. Floor toms are 16 by 16 and 18 by 16. And these drums are in a piano black lacquer, so it is a paint job. I'm big on doing paint job kits as opposed to a wrap. I just think Gretsch does really beautiful work with their lacquer paint jobs. And yeah, I love these drums. Been using them for the last 4 or 5 years on the road. Yeah,
they are beautiful, and the lacquer is striking. I love the painted lacquer kit. I'm a paint guy as well. I've got away from wraps, and I think that, between the two, lacquer's just the thing. It's like so striking and it looks awesome. Do you find that the lacquer does something to the tonal quality of the drum opposed to a wrap?
Yeah, I like to think the drum's a little more open with the lacquer. I don't know how noticeable that actually is, but placebo effect is a real thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, dude, it's all sugar pill. I mean, to me, it always felt like a wrap is like muffling or something, or you're adding something on top of the wood that wants to breathe.
Yeah.
Not that paint wouldn't do that too, but, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. But, really what I like about the paint is the way that it ages. Having these drums on the road and them getting beat up and going through everything that they go through. I like that you can kind of see the miles on the drums and, they show the wear and tear. And, in another 10, 15 years, I'm sure these drums will look, pretty crazy and beat up. And I dig that. So
yeah. And what is the shell construction?
So these are 6-ply maple gum shells.
Okay.
This is kind of the standard Gretsch shell that they've been doing for, I don't know, probably 60 years now, something like that. So these are my favorite shells that they make. And yeah, they just kind of work for everything. And the USA Customs come with die-cast tubes on the toms, which is also kind of a signature Gretsch thing.
Yeah.
So, that kind of controls the tone a little bit and allows these drums to be wide open, but still very controlled.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier about you playing them wide open. Let's talk a little bit about how you get to that sound.
Yeah, so we use coated Emperors on the toms, and we use clear, controlled sound on the Resos side of the toms. So that controlled sound just gives us a little bit of muffling, like just ever so slightly controls the overtones of the drums, and we have them tuned pretty high, especially for a rock gig. People are usually surprised at how high we have them tuned. But I find that with the guitars coming in and everything, all of that overtone kind of just blends in with the mix, and you don't really end up hearing it. And it just kind of gives the kit a really full sound at the end of the day.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of drummers that the battle cry has become big toms tuned high.
Yeah.
So that seems to be working.
Yeah.
Especially with these Remo coated Emperors.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And same thing on the snare drum. The snare drum is a USA Custom solid steel.
Okay.
So 14 by 6.5. So it's a 3mm shell with 5mm edges. So it's a big heavy drum, kind of, comparable to that bell brass style shell that's really trending now. And same thing with this. We've got a coated vintage Emperor on the top of this, so a little bit thicker than the regular Emperors, just for that extra durability. But same thing, we've got this drum wide open, zero muffling on it. And a custom thing that I recently did to this drum was I had Gretsch send me some of their tube lugs. And so I swapped out the classic Gretsch lug for these tube lugs, which just takes some weight off of the shell and actually opens it up even more and lets it breathe and ring a little more. And it's a cool look too, sets it apart from a lot of the other Gretsch snare drums floating out there.
I mean, it's a super slick look. Do you find that tube lug gives you a different kind of tuning? Like, is it holding tune better? Like, is it acting differently?
Yeah, so to get super nerdy, the tube lugs don't have lug inserts like the classic lug. So the classic lug has that little insert sticking out that'll kind of wobble around, and the tube lug, it's just machined into there. So the threads are just drilled straight into that lug. So because of that, it does hold tune a little bit better, and I don't have to worry about maybe snapping a lug or anything like that.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. And what's the Reso head on the bottom of that?
Reso head is a Hazy Ambassador, and we've got Vic Firth 26 strand snare wires on the bottom.
Cool.
Yeah.
Big thick boy.
Yeah,
I love them thick boys.
Yeah, me too.
That's cool. Awesome. And what sticks are you hitting it with?
So I'm using Vic Firth 5Bs.
All right.
I've been on 5Bs for the last 5 or 6 years, and it's just kind of the can't go wrong stick. You know, it's like a lot of my favorite drummers use 5B, and I used to use bigger sticks, but wanted to downsize and kind of have a little more control behind the drums, and 5B just works for me.
Back to the beefier. Did you go lighter?
I went lighter, yeah. So I was using the Vic Firth Metal for a long time, which is like slightly thicker than a 2B, and it's got a full extra inch of length. So with that stick, I was going through heads really quickly, and a little bit of wrist pain and stuff. So yeah, kind of wanted to downsize, and I've been really enjoying the 5B.
Cool, awesome. And how did you get to this configuration? I mean, it's a pretty standard rock configuration, something very similar to the configuration I play. It's just kind of like the Ride or Die Groover kit.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's pretty standard, and I've always just kind of I've been on this same configuration for a long time. I started using 2 floor toms about 10 years ago, and I just kind of feel naked now without the 18. So it's not super necessary, but I like having it there. And 13 is like, man, I just need a 13. I've used 14s, and it's a little big. 12s always feel like baby size to me. So yeah, and with the kick drum, playing heavier stuff and hitting really hard for pretty much the whole show, I kind of just need a 24, man. I've used 22s, and I love the way 22s sound, and I use them a lot in the studio and at home and for different projects. But when I'm hitting hard and kind of just slamming it the whole show, I really dig the 24.
I mean, you got to move a lot of air with this band.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
That was something that I found so interesting. I was listening to you guys on the way over, and it's like you have this like pop sensibility in the verse. Then you hit like an industrial kind of chorus, and then just like a massive open breakdown. So I really like how you're playing with genre and even one song. Yeah. How did you kind of get to that kind of vibe on drums?
I mean, so Caleb records drums on all the records, and what's really cool is when we play live, he kind of just gives me free reign to play the stuff how I see fit and kind of put my own spin on it. And it's cool because him and I actually have pretty different styles. So yeah, it's cool. I've always been a very traditional rock guy. I like to sprinkle in a lot of other influence. I play a lot of hip-hop stuff at home, and I work on jazz stuff and Latin stuff, and I try to sprinkle that in and make it blend in with the music. But yeah, he gives me kind of free reign, and I try to kind of keep to that hard-hitting rock thing, and sprinkle in the other influences where I see fit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the kit is super traditional. What's not traditional is really the cymbal setup. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
This is something that's kind of new for me to see this kind of up and down. Run me around the cymbals and tell me how you got to this configuration. We'll start over here.
Okay. Yeah. So everything's Zildjian, and some of the stuff on the kit is actually new for our setup. So right now I've got the 15-inch K fat hats. These are a newer Zildjian release, and honestly, I think they're the best hi-hats I've ever played. I really like them. They kind of sit in between an A and a K, like a K-Light and a New Beat. They're just right in the middle, not too heavy, but not too light. Cut through really nice, and they feel really good. Yeah. And 15s are kind of just my comfort zone.
I was going to say interesting size of 15. You're kind of like a Goldilocks guy.
Yeah.
Right in the middle.
14s feel small, and 16s are just overkill. I've used 16s with this band, and it's a little too washy and kind of gets lost in the mix. And on the closed hi-hat stuff, it's just too chunky. Yeah. So 15s work really well.
Cool.
And then over here, we've got the 19-inch A Custom Crash. This is probably the longest tenured guy in the setup. It's just a workhorse cymbal, dude. Yeah, man. It's just the can't go wrong kind of cymbal, and it just works for everything. And my tech, Matt, and I, we always joke about how this cymbal just never breaks, knock on wood. But this exact one has been in the setup for like maybe 3 years now, and we just don't.
Godspeed, you little cymbal, because he just cursed you.
I know.
It's fine. These things are great. Yeah.
So yeah, and then over here, we've got a 21-inch K Sweet Ride. So this is one of the ones that we recently swapped out in the setup. For a long time, I was using the 21-inch A Sweet Ride, and that's been my favorite cymbal that Zildjian makes for a long time. But just kind of wanted to switch it up, just keep it interesting, and so I ordered one of the Ks, and I love this thing, man. And I think it might be winning over the A. It might be here to stay.
The K Sweet, it's so awesome, man.
Yeah.
What are the things that you love about it?
So I find with the K Sweet over the A, it has a little bit of a better ping. It's still a kind of a crash ride, you know. It's not super pingy, but it does ride a little bit better than the A. It's a little bit heavier. I like the bell more, and the crash is just that distinction between an A and a K. The crash on the K is a little washier, a little more old school sounding, a little less polished, if you will. And yeah, I really like this cymbal, man. And the 21 is just perfect. I've tried the 23. I used 24s for a while.
Right in the middle,
Yeah, man. But it's like the 21 just does it. It's just you know, it just works.
That's cool.
Works. And up over here, we've got a 20-inch A Custom crash. This is kind of ever changing. You know, sometimes we throw up a K. Sometimes we'll come back to the A Custom. But you know, we have quite a few options that. Really, it doesn't really matter what's up there. As long as it's a 20-inch crash, A Custom, K Dark, whatever it is, man, you know, there's a lot of different options that I like over here in this spot.
Cool.
And then over here, we've got a 19-inch K China. This is another newer addition to the setup. So for the longest time, I didn't play with a China. And then I just kind of wanted to change things up and add a couple cymbals.
Chinas are back, baby.
Yeah, man.
You heard it here. I think I started this, man. I'm like, Chinas. I'm like, no, they're coming back.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, so I added this and really like it. We had a 18-inch Oriental China on here for a while.
The classic.
Yeah, but it's kind of, it's not in a bad way, but it's kind of shrill and like, it's really sharp. And this 19-inch K China just has a little bit more of that traditional China sound, and been really digging that one.
That's the thing that I've noticed with Chinas coming back into people's kits, is that now Chinas have to kind of sit into a different space frequency-wise and kind of tone-wise.
Sure.
So it's nice to see them getting a little bit more reined in, because like for a long time, as Stick said one time on the show, he said that they just sounded shitty.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the quintessential sound of a China.
Sure.
But they're getting a lot better, and I think that's why they're, you know, kind of coming back as a nice explosive.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Yeah. And then over here, we've got actually a really interesting one. So this is a 20-inch K Sweet Crash, but it's got a brilliant finish on it. So this is still kind of a prototype. I'm not sure what's going on with these, if they're getting released and when that's happening or not. But my Zildjian rep, Eric, thank you, Eric Gross. He's the best in the business. He sent me one of these to try out, and we've been really enjoying it. It's got an interesting sound. It's kind of like I was saying about the Oriental. It's kind of shrill and sharp, but I really like it on the edge over here. I don't use it too much, and I certainly don't ride on it. But if I'm finishing a fill around the toms, it's nice to have this over here, so I don't have to kind of bring my arm back. And just for parts where I'm hitting a lot of crash hits in a row, it's nice to have a third one. And this one, this K Sweet Crash, really stands out in the mix and kind of has its own sound for sure.
Nice explosive kind of pyro vibe to it.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. And in terms of pedals, I see some like familiar friends.
Yeah.
I play 5000s too. I can't speak highly enough of these pedals.
Yeah.
What got you to the 5000s?
Yeah. So I've tried pretty much every pedal DW makes. And
not a 9. Not a 3. You're a middle guy, so
I'm
you go 5.
Guy. Like everything on the kit, man. You're nailing it. Yeah. Yeah, I used the 9000 for a couple of years actually, and I really like the 9000s. But I'm traditionally very much a single pedal kind of power hitter type player. I'm not a fast double pedal kind of guy. I like to keep it simple, and with the 9000s, sometimes I felt almost like they were a little too smooth for my personal taste. So I would go to them sometimes, but I always end up back on the 5000, and my settings on these pedals are just out of the box.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, just how the 5000 comes out of the box, it just works, you know? It's nothing crazy, nothing flashy, but it just feels great. And the hi-hat stand is a 5000 as well. Same thing there, the 9000 hi-hat is really smooth, and you know, the action on the foot chick on that stand is great, but the top hat ends up floating so much, which kind of bugs me sometimes. So I like that with the 5000 hi-hat, it's just kind of more sturdy and solid, and you know, just kind of gets the job done. So
cool.
and on the beaters on the kick, I'm just using the stock DW beaters, but I'm using the felt side, which most people are usually surprised that I'm not using the plastic for a, you know, a rock sound like this, but I just don't like the way plastic sounds, and we do tune the kick a little bit tighter than most guys, most metal guys or rock guys have it. We have it up a little bit. So when I have the plastic side on or a wood beater, you know, if I bury the beater, you get that little fluttery sound. You know what I'm talking about? So you don't get that with felt. So that's why I really like the felt. And I just find it's got a little bit more of a traditional sound and less of that clicky attack. So yeah, I really dig the felt.
Awesome. And what head are you using on the bass?
So on the kick, we've got a coated Power Stroke 3. And like I said before, we've got it tuned up a little bit higher. I mean, it's still on the lower end, you know, it's not tuned like a bop kit or anything, but just higher than you might expect for rock stuff. And on the Reso side of the kick, we've got another Power Stroke 3 with a big center hole cut in the middle. So it doesn't have, you know, too much tone. Air just kind of goes right out. Nice. Punchy, quicker sound.
Yep.
And yeah, that really works. It feels nice and it sounds great.
It's my favorite head.
Yeah, me too.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's the best.
Can't beat it.
Yeah.
Well, you can beat it. And you are beating it. What do we got for ears?
So on ears, I've got 1964 audio ears. And they are the A16 model, I believe. And yeah, love these ears. Can't speak highly enough of them. I've used a bunch of different ears throughout the years, and these 64 audios are just the best. Nothing beats them. And our rig for getting my mix to me is a little bit untraditional. So we use a headphone amp, and I actually hardwire plug into it as opposed to using a wireless pack. And the reason we do that is, you know, the whole band's on click, and you know, obviously that's a common issue that's kind of out of everyone's hands is the frequency stuff and wireless packs going in and out. So in the event that something like that happens and everybody loses click, we know I'll be totally fine. As long as I've got power back here, I've got my mix.
Smart.
And it's really nice because the mix sounds clearer through the headphone amp and everything too. So I really dig it. It's a little annoying having the cable attached to my back all the time, but it's worth it. It's a nice way to do it, for sure.
That's cool. Yeah, that's smart. I like that.
Yeah.
And last but not least, I see a little B snare back there. Let's fly that dude in and talk about what we got going on here.
Yeah, so this is our backup, and not a bad backup. We throw it on the kit sometimes at soundcheck, and we're not sure which one we want to roll with.
Maybe the B is the A.
Yeah.
You know?
So this is a 14 by 6.5 Gretsch USA chrome over brass. So thinner shell. I believe the shell on this one is 1.2 millimeters. So it's kind of your classic Black Beauty-esque snare drum. Again, die-cast tubes. And both of these are 10 lug, by the way. I'm not sure if I mentioned that before. Okay. And same heads on this. We got coated vintage Emporer on top and hazy Ambassador on bottom. Same wires. We got the Vic Firth 26 strand. Those are great. And something else that I want to touch on the snare drum is these lug locks that we use. Okay. So we use rock locks. This is a newer product. Really great design. The best lug lock I've personally used, and they're basically like a half moon shape, and they've got all these points inside so it can sit on the tension rod however it needs, and it's just the ideal shape to stop that rod from you know, detuning. And
I love how it can go in any configuration, because, you know, with lug locks, it's like, okay, maybe I need to go another eighth of a turn to get my lock to fit. So then it's like, what's the point? Now I've detuned the thing.
100%. And these fit so tight that sometimes it's like you gotta muscle them on there. Yeah, check it out. Man. But they're really cool.
Zoom in on that, dude. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, they're great, man.
I've been looking for some. I think I'm gonna get some.
Yeah,
Cool.
Give it a shot.
That's awesome. Dude, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is an awesome, powerful, traditional, non-traditional, right in the middle kit, man.
Yeah.
Not too much.
Yeah, not too little.
Not too little.
Yeah.
It's enough. Dude, it's been a pleasure sitting
Yeah.
down with you today.
Likewise.
We are here today at Marathon Music Works with Connor Denis of Beartooth. This has been the Drum Rundown. We will see you all on the next one.